Welcome, Grandmother Winter Jade Forest. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
And I'd like to begin by introducing you to everyone. Grandmother Winter Jade Forest began studying and teaching shiatsu in 1975.
Mm.
She was fortunate enough to study directly with Dr. Shizuto Masunaga, author of Zen Shiatsu, How to Harmonize Yin and Yang for Better Health, and to act as his hostess when he taught in New York. Since then, she has practiced and taught Zen Shiatsu across the United States, in Canada, and in Europe. She moved to Germany to live and study with Shinmei Akinobu.
Akinobu,
Akinobu.
Shine Akinobu Kishi, yes.
Thank you. Appreciate the help, Kishi. Masanaga's number one disciple and author of Seiki, Life in Resonance, The Secret Art of Shiatsu. She stayed for 2.5 years, from 1982 to 1984.
Yeah.
When she returned to the States, she was part of the group that helped establish the AOBTA as a legal entity, and she served on several committees, including the one that wrote the National ABT exam for the NCCAOM. She has embedded AOBTA certified programs in 6 states. Grandmother now practices in Evanston, Illinois, and teaches across the country. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have been teaching shiatsu for a long time. I love shiatsu. And I really wanted to talk about this shamanistic mindset that goes with it because I feel that in our culture we don't have the opportunity to um, develop in the way that our ancestors developed their healing skills. And because I guess because of the objectivity that is required. And of course, the training of the the opening of your esoteric skills or your psychic skills is a very subjective thing. It can't be measured. And so it doesn't fit into the curriculum if a curriculum wants to be state certified. And also, it takes more than 500 or 750 hours to go through a training like that. So I wanted to talk about it because of how integral it is to the work of most of us. When we come to a school for shiatsu, we usually come with a very enthusiastic uh, desire, perhaps, to help people, to be of a healing presence. And many of it has been shown statistically that people who are inclined toward body work have a kind of I'm going to call it a kind of a learning disability. It's not dyslexia, although many of us have that too. But we are the type of people who learn better through non-left brain activity. And because the curriculum is full of what you have to study, remembering the names of meridians, the location of the meridians, the points, the anatomy, the physiology, all that stuff, it is a little bit more difficult for the type of people that we are to go through this program, having to study that, and then also to develop yourself internally, let's say, right? It's
Yes.
just a whole lot. But when we come to school and we start learning this stuff, and it is a different way of thinking, we're learning the same material, but from a very opposite cultural bias. It's spoken very differently. It does open us up anyway, and that stuff starts to happen anyway. We start to develop, we start to get inklings of all that light inside us, but we have no language for it, and there is no time within a curriculum to work with it. So I wanted to address that part in particular because for myself, it was what drew me to this shamanic area in general was watching my Japanese teachers do demos in the classroom. And it was very clear to me that when they were doing that demo, they were, I'm going to say, in, encased in a certain way, encapsulated in this energy field between them and the client and what they were picking up. And it was never said overtly. It was addressed to say, yes, you're with your client, you tune in, all that kind of stuff. But what I saw, this really, this sort of area between them where nothing could penetrate, it was all that they were concentrating on. And how I don't know what to say about how that felt. It was very touching. And I wanted to know more about that. And when I would ask about it, it was very difficult to get answers because, well, of course, it's hard to talk about anyway. But then these teachers that I had were not that fluent in English. Plus, I found out later that because they are Japanese, they use their brains differently because of their language than we use ours because of ours. So what I found out is that if you grow up speaking Japanese, you do art with your right brain, as do we, but you think with both lobes. We think with the left and we do art with the right, but they use both lobes to think. And so I don't think my Japanese teachers realized how much we were missing by not being able to integrate those lobes in the same way when we studied and when we watched them, we tried to figure it out. So this thing that I saw was so apparent when I watched Kishi work that I moved to Germany to study with him. I couldn't get enough. And and he saw in me too something that was that devoted to the work. And so he was training me to be a Shinto priestess also while teaching me Seiki. Um, but even with him, things went a lot deeper, just, because in the way that we did it, I lived with him 24/7. And that meant, and that was the traditional way that Japanese masters worked with their pupils, their disciples, and um, and that was extraordinary to have that kind of access and be able to have conversations through the night with just him and me, but also with groups of people who were also touched by him, and we would have them over to our house, and it was extraordinary. But I still missed something, and I knew I was missing something, but we couldn't talk about it, right? When I came back to the States, I got very busy, with all those things, the AOBTA and the NCCAOM. I studied with Jean-Pierre Barral, which is a name many people know from visceral manipulation, and another American osteopath with organ manipulation. And I had already studied some bone setting with Japanese teachers, but continued understudying with chiropractors to do more of that kind of work. And I synthesized all of that work into a way of working with shiatsu that would be okay with my scope of practice, that wouldn't get me in trouble, but I could still use these skills. So that was years, again, more years of study, right? Um, and that was all between the late 1980s, early 1990s. And by about the mid 1990s to in the late, when I was, when I was in my late 40s, I started getting what I call an extreme agitation of soul. I could not be happy with, I mean, not that I couldn't be happy in life, but I could not be happy with the stagnant place that I was in my practice, and and also in other kinds of development. And I realized at some point that, well, maybe because of my age and I'm entering into an elder type of thing, maybe I should look for a croning ceremony. And this was from my studies in Celtic shamanism. In Celtic shamanism, there's a triple goddess, the maiden mother, the crone, right? I was getting to the crone stage. And so I was living in Portland, Oregon. There are a lot of witches in Portland. And so I started meeting some and interviewing them, explaining my agitation of soul and asking for a ceremony. But they all identified themselves as kitchen witches, meaning that they did, herbal things and teas for their family. They would do protection spells for their own house and property, stuff like that. But they did not feel equipped to do the kind of huge ceremony that I was looking for, nor did I think that they even understood what I was talking about. But at this same period, I was studying sound healing. And the teacher there, we met once a month, and we always started the classes with, okay, how have you been doing over the month with the homework that you had? And I would start every time saying, I have this agitation of soul that just won't go away. And about the third or fourth month, she realized that, oh, maybe you should meet my teacher, River. Grandmother River wasn't grandmother yet. She hadn't become a priestess yet. Maybe you should meet River because it sounds like you need an eldership ceremony. And I can't give it to you because I'm not an elder and you can't do a ceremony that you haven't been through yourself. So let me introduce you to her. I met River. She understood immediately what I was talking about. And she put me on a year's worth of preparation for an elder ceremony and gave me a lot of practices to do, a gazillion prayer ties to make, and all that stuff. And when that was over, I had my eldership ceremony and assumed that I would be done with that because I had asked for that. I received it and I thought it was complete. But during that year, I had been so moved and so transformed that I stayed with her for a long time, for 20 years while I was still in Portland. And I mean, I talked to her just a couple of weeks ago. I still do. Um, what I found out by studying this shamanism from a Native American perspective, by the way, for any of you who have anything to do with Native Americans, I can tell you this word shamanism, it sticks like a claw in Grandmother River and other Native American people because the association is kind of like witch doctor. But we don't have a good word for shamanism for so it's called in the Cherokee way, you're a priest, not a shaman. And and medicine woman is another way some people put it, but medicine woman often goes with herbology, and I don't do that part of the medicine. But anyway, so this shamanistic type of study, this medicine, learning, your gifts, what Creator gave you as your gifts to offer to the people, right? For that, um, that was that was astounding because it's a nature based, all shamanistic practices are natural, natural, what am I trying to say, nature based. And so the way I was brought into the elements uh, dovetailed so well with what we learn in Asian medicine. But the relationship that you make with the elements is not conceptual and not just mind blowing, mind altering, and very satisfying, but you really do form a personal relationship with these natural forces, with your animal totems. They become real entities to you that you cultivate relationships with. And I started to realize that this feeling that you get from cultivating those relationships, for getting these intimate relationships with the elements and things that are not human, was that feeling that I got watching my Japanese teachers when they were in this deep place with their clients, right? And what what it entails to develop such relationships is clearing out of yourself all your old hurts, resentments, all your negative emotions, all the bad memories of your whatever traumatic experiences you've had, because you can't be human without some pain in your life. But as the Buddha said, you have pain and you have suffering. You can't avoid pain, but suffering is optional, right? And so um, to have practices, ideologies, rituals to do to actually get this stuff out of you, not just to recognize it. Like in therapy, you get some healings with psychotherapy. You get to figure out what your triggers have been and where they've come from. Even if the memories have been repressed, many of them will come forward, and you get to do some healing over that. But with shamanism, you do not only the healing, but you also do the integration piece, so that what your trials and tribulations have been stop being triggers for you, and they become stories that you can offer to your clients to help them know that they can get over it, that they aren't alone, that there are ways to deal with this stuff. And one of the most beautiful things that I learned is that Well, I'm going to backtrack a little. One of the ways that our culture deals with these negative emotions is to think that they aren't good. They aren't good for you. They aren't good to have. They aren't good to show, all that stuff. And yeah, you don't want to be projecting stuff onto people for sure. But um, when we discover those things and we have those memories and we feel again ashamed or we feel again whatever we're feeling, lack of self-confidence, whatever that put into us, we, no matter if we're crying or yelling and screaming about it, we keep it somehow. And what I learned in this Native American way is when those tears come out, you shouldn't be crying, feeling the trauma or whatever it is you should be crying, feeling the release. Those tears are the release, and you offer them to the Mother Earth, because like you can't make a diet of eating your own poop without getting really sick and dying. But you can offer it to the earth and it just turns to compost. It gets transformed. And it's the same with these negative emotions. So you offer them to the mother and you say, thank you for taking this from me. You don't keep it. And over time, that really does, I mean, it changes things. And and so this whole experience of shamanic training is to clear you out in that way so that you can be, as they say again in Native American circles, a good hollow bone for healing people, right?
Mm.
There are other ways to talk about it, but that is the goal, is to really clear yourself out, to clean yourself out, and to make room inside for the light that you have been given, for the gifts that you have been given to actually shine out and blossom out for the good of the people. Yeah.
When you said that about the hollow bone, that really resonated. And Montauk Chia likes to talk about the inner flute. And so
Okay.
I'm hearing resonances between Taoist healing practices and what you studied with Grandmother River.
Yes,
Yes.
very much so. And it happens over time. It's not like you can do it in a weekend workshop, right? It's a lot of uh and and this idea of being able to open enough that you get more light, you can hold, you can receive and hold more light that can shine out. Then you also go through rigorous physical trials and tribulations, let me just say, because your body needs to be strong enough to hold that light. And you get all these practices to integrate your bodies, your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, so that they're all vibrating at the same rate, in harmony, and to integrate that into your cellular structure and your DNA. There are all these kinds of rituals. And I am saying this because, well, first of all, I got so much from it that I really want to share it, but also because I believe that this was the training, the normal training for, the barefoot doctors, the Asian, those ones. If you do any reading in the old text, you know that all the information that we get that makes us a professional already, anatomy, physiology, meridians, points, indications, angles of palpation or insert needle insertion, all that stuff, that's like your baseline. That's like not professional at all. That's where you start. And you are expected also to become an artist, so maybe a calligrapher or a painter or a storyteller or a musician or something like this, and to be proficient at that. Expected also then to be a philosopher, learned in philosophy, and also original thinking about philosophy. And all of that in preparation to make you into a wise person, which makes you the real doctor, right? We don't get that in our training. So I wanted to mention it because anyone who is feeling like I did, this really deep urge inside, knowing that there's more, I wanted to say, I mean, we Shiatsu people, we are a little strange. There's no doubt about that. But if you're feeling that urge, that is not strange. That is your urge to really bring out more of your own talents for healing. And and just because we can't get it in school doesn't mean we can't get it. So,
So
yeah.
this work that you've studied, it sounds to me like it is a continuation and a deepening of the studies that you began. with Kishi and Masunaga.
Yes.
This is if I'm understanding you correctly, you feel like this kind of work that you're doing now was in fact part of the deep training that you would have received if you'd grown
Yeah.
up in Japan.
Yes, or anywhere else in Asia, probably. And that it is our cultural differences that make it difficult to understand through language and also difficult to get a training for because of our cultural values, which are different certainly at this time in our history than they were in ancient times. Um, and I wanted to say something about the value of it too, because in Japan, in 2025, 2026, Japanese people will pay more for spiritual training than for other things. In America, we don't. We don't value it that highly, and everything that's a course is X amount per hour. The value of the course is not figured in. It's time, right? And so I wanted to say something about the value of this because the other thing that was important for these shamanic studies, when I was studying with Kishi, I would say, Kishi, I'm not getting blah, blah, blah. I want to study some more about that. Can you teach me? His answer would be, I want to go to Garmisch, which was a ski resort in Germany. And so, in order for me to get the training, I would have to take him to the ski resort, right? And get the training there. Grandmother River, I paid her rent. And the idea of what do you call uh, what do you call it? Like a love offering? Is that the term we use when it's a donation for something?
Yeah.
The idea of a love offering was understood in those circles more like you give until it hurts a little bit. So if you're very poor, you might give extra from your garden, or if you're raising goats or whatever, give extra food. If you have a skill like being able to take care of the tractor or whatever, you would donate your time. But if you were rich, you would give horses, you would give Pendleton blankets, you would give until it hurts a little. And you were expected, if you asked for a ceremony, to invite the whole village and feed them, right? So this idea of value is also very important. I have to say, in our culture, we don't even value our own life as much as we value other things like money or prestige or, good job. And so this is another like cultural difference that we usually, as shiatsu practitioners and other people who want to do healing, we don't share those values really, but neither do we have cultural support for this, right? So it's another reason why I wanted to bring this up. It's a big piece that's missing in our education. So I've decided to offer it. I'm not teaching shiatsu um, techniques anymore where I live. I am doing a whole series of shamanic opening and practices and rituals and healings. Yeah.
This sounds like the pearl of great price.
Mm.
If you value this, you commit everything.
Yeah.
And it becomes transformational in part because you valued it enough to commit everything.
Exactly. Yes. What of yourself you are willing to invest not only has value, it reaps great rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've gotten out of this, for instance, is I have just celebrated my 79th year, my 79th birthday, which means I have completed 79 years of living, and I'm moving into my 80th year now. No one in my immediate family it has lived this old, except two of my 17 relatives um, made it past 80. And I'm still going strong. My siblings are in and out of hospitals, in and out of sicknesses. I'm not. The stamina that I had for doing shiatsu was, I could do 7 or 8 treatments in a day and then teach at night and go home and not be tired, right? So you gain a lot out of this besides just the opening of your psychic senses. Your ability, but your psychic senses are great because your ability to tune into your clients and understand when you're touching X and Y meridian. Spleen meridian, where you're touching it on them, may have nothing to do with anything that you learned about spleen meridian. It may tell you something else, and you get open enough to listen to that, right? And to be able to do a treatment. So you get a lot out of what you invest. It's not just expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because what you put into it is what you get out of it
Yeah,
to a large extent. That you're saying more than that, but that's what I'm hearing.
yeah, yeah. I'm saying that you also get a more, I kind of hate this word, but I have to use it because we don't have another one. More self-love. You have more respect for yourself. You know better what you're capable of, and you don't feel special about it. You just feel capable. And that is really good for your self-esteem. And if you're a person like me who always likes to challenge herself to do even more and even better, it buoys you up to dare to do that, right? So that's another big benefit. Yeah.
This work sounds deeply transformational.
Yes, it is.
I have in here in the notes that you gave me that you thought at one point you might want to do a meditation. Does that feel appropriate at this point?
Yeah, so I thought a lot about what I would do, what I could do, and what would, and I want to preface this by saying this practice, even without going through a whole lot of study like I did, not, you know, not dismissing the idea that doing your shadow work, so to speak, is important. This practice that I want to give is very beautiful as a meditation, and it's also a way of protecting yourself against negative energy coming at you. So there are people who do this work who get drained by working with their clients and stuff, and I don't, and it's because I have this protection, I have this connection with my guides. We work together. And this, in a few minutes that I'm going to give you this, you don't get all of that, but you get the idea of it, you will get the feeling of it, and you will get some benefit from it too. And I call this practice throwing up a rose. It's called also in the beauty prayer, in the Native American way, it's called the beauty prayer. And the beauty prayer either comes from the Navajo or the Hopi. They will fight over whose it really is. Um, but I'm going to say it real quick first, and then we're going to go into a meditative state and do it. And the words we're going to say is beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beside me, beauty above me, beauty below me, beauty within me. I walk in beauty. And each time we do it, we throw up a rose. So you imagine we're first going to connect with Mother Earth and Father Sky. And that means just we're going to take a few breaths and ground. I think most of the people who are listening or who will be listening later, if they've been in any of these programs that teach shiatsu or any Asian body work therapy, they will have done some kind of meditative thing about connecting with the earth and the heavens. So I won't go through that part. We'll just take a few breaths and everybody will do that. And then you'll extend your connection of energy with that to your field, right? Your auric field, which is about an arm's length out in front in every direction. Yeah, so it's what I call your luminous egg. And that's a borrowed term from Carlos Castaneda, anyone who read those books back in the 70s. Um, and then so every time you say like beauty before me, and you throw out a rose in front of your auric field out there, that's the blossom is big enough to cover the whole front of that luminous egg. And the same thing in each direction. The rose that you choose can be of any color. Um, White is usually suggested against because it goes with death in Asian circles. But but it's okay if that's what comes to you, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, you throw out a rose in each direction, and as you do, what you're thinking is that that covers the whole side that you're throwing out the rose to. So anybody who approaches you from any angle sees this beauty and smells this wonderful fragrance, and it's very hard for them to throw any negativity at you, right? It's just so lovely. But your secret shamanic part is that You know that behind the rose, the stems have thorns, and those thorns will make a thicket that that stops any negativity from getting through before it gets into your auric field, right? So that's the extra protection. But you walk in beauty. You absolutely walk in beauty when you do this, yeah. So I wanted you to have a little background on it. And then, yeah, we can go ahead and do it. So, anyone who's watching, go ahead and close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And it's very helpful to let the sound out through the mouth because it really lets things out. When you breathe in, you're breathing in all the energy from spirit, Mother Earth, Father Sky, however you want to think of it, yang and yin. And as you exhale, you're letting go of anything that's blocking your connection to that energy. As you do this breathing, your body is relaxing, your spine automatically gets straighter without your effort because space is being made between each vertebral segment. So you at once feel that your head is lifting and you're also sitting more solidly on the whatever you're sitting on. Few more deep breaths and all the joints are finding this space. So your shoulder blades might feel like they're sliding down the ribs in the back, but it's really because your ribs are lifting. And while your spine makes that nice vertical axis that continues to expand, your rib cage makes the horizontal axis both to the left and right, but also to the back, which we often forget, as well as to the front. And the pelvic bowl sits directly under the cylinder of the rib cage, completing the cylinder of your central core. And all the joints of the extremities also open up, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, fingers. More space is being made in all directions in all those joints. And the same thing happens at the pelvis. Hips, knees, ankles, feet, and toes all find more space at every joint. And into all this space that we've made, you invite Mother Earth, Father Sky, the heavens. They enter from the base of your tailbone and also from the top of your head. And they run together in tandem in the core of you, around, up, around, and down, down, around, and up. And the love between them, the love between earth and sky, is so great that it continues moving out from your central core through your nerves and through your blood out to all your tissues, your bones, your organs, your fluids, out to every cell in your body, all the way out to your skin. You are made of the love between earth and sky. And the love is so strong that it continues out past the boundaries of your skin to form your luminous egg. And you are not only made of love, but you are engulfed in love. And so let's throw out a rose. Beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beside me, left and right, beauty above me, beauty below me, beauty within me. I walk in beauty. Now, if you can imagine walking out your door to work encased in this bubble that shows only roses with the protective inner core that keeps negativity from you. And you walk into your treatment room and you see that same beautiful luminous egg around your client. Imagine what that might be. Yeah. So, yeah.
That was extraordinary. Thank you.
Isn't it lovely?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
do tell me, what was your experience?
Oh, first of all, it made me think of the bone marrow cleansing exercise, the Taoist, but 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 it but it went beyond that, and I could feel like this infinite source of energy
Mm,
between heaven and earth. By this, when you were talking about the love between the sky and the earth, but I could, it was like, this is inexhaustible. It just keeps going. And, and, and it just, I feel so peaceful and energized at the same time. And like there's just this abundance of energy that keeps flowing through me as long as I maintain that space.
yeah.
I can see how you could see a bunch of people and then teach in the evening. That's really nice. And everything seemed softer. The
Mm,
edges were softer, but not softer in a like squishy way, but like just gentler while at the same time luminous, like the luminous egg. That, thank you. That was a wonderful visualization. Thank you.
Gloria, do you feel like sharing? I would love to hear from you since you are not a practitioner. It would be good to hear because this isn't just for practitioners. Yeah.
Karen and Lisa and I have talked about having gremlins this week, and returning to work after a holiday break is incredibly difficult. Um, but I felt peaceful, I think, for the first time all week, and that's um, hard to trade for anything.
Yeah. Great. Okay, thanks. Yeah,
Sarah is also here. I don't know if Sarah, I mean, she could unmute if she'd like to share, but I don't know if she wants to. You can remain anonymous if you'd like to, Sarah.
I would love to
Hi,
hear if you feel
I'm
like.
here. Sorry, I'm just fumbling here for a second to. There we go.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Where are you in America?
I'm in Chicago, so I'm part
Oh,
of the Zen Shiatsu program. I just graduated.
oh yeah, okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm curious about all of this because I definitely experienced in my or like throughout the program, I think a lot of like intuitive information, and so just trying to figure out how to navigate that. But I did love the meditation. I thought just you said something about like there being like gosh, I can't even think the heavens and the earth, mother and father are both all in me. And that was just like a really powerful feeling and definitely a lot of energy coming from my heart center and going out. Um, So I really love that because I do feel like sometimes when I practice, I do get tired or take on other people's energy or and I think that this could help me. So thank you very much. It was lovely.
My pleasure. Glad to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Yeah, so I again because my experience in the education that we have leaves so much of this out, I am offering a whole series of shamanic trainings and practices throughout 2026, from spring equinox through through autumn equinox, and then for practitioners, another couple in October for actual practice. But yes, these things that help clean you out, but also give you these kinds of practices, also different ways of thinking, um, to help the light shine, help
Mhm.
all the healing out, right? Everything that we're after to just boost it a little bit and clear it, clean it, polish it. Yeah, all of that. Yeah. So, yep, that's the goal. And so the first thing that we're doing is a training just in shamanic meditation. It's called journeying. And so I'm calling the course shamanic journeying. But it is great for anybody who has a hard time meditating because we're taught from the perspective of India, and we're often taught, you clear out your mind, you shouldn't have any thoughts, and it's impossible. And so I love
Mhm.
this other journeying way to meditate because it uses your imagination, your mind. You don't have to like have no thoughts. You use your thoughts in a particular way. It trains you to be able to be in this meditative space. And then we're also doing a chakra clearing that comes from the Russian shaman that I studied with. I didn't mention him in the intro, but Master Gregory Antuhin is one of my other very formidable influences on my work. And he gave me permission to pass along his chakra work, which also talks about the five spirits: your biological spirit, your social spirit, your professional spirit, your soul, your almighty soul, and the anima, which is the spirit that keeps them all connected to your body, plus the chakra clearing. We're doing a DNA activation. We're doing a meet your animal totems, how to work with them. So it isn't, this series is not just for practitioners because it's good for anybody, but what goes beyond that in the Cherokee healing things, where you learn to cut cords, you learn to do what we call
Mhm.
psychic surgery. It isn't really psychic surgery. I mean, but it, but yeah, but you clean out thoughts and you learn how to get the right thoughts into your mind to counter the bad thoughts that you've been having, or not bad thoughts, but what am I trying to say? Wrong thoughts. What am I trying to say? Incorrect ideas about how the world really is. All those thoughts you get to
Mhm.
change, and to do those things psychically. That's the training, but that's for practitioners only. The first ones that I mentioned are open to practitioners, but their families and friends alike, too. Anybody, really. It's very good work. So, and that's all happening at Zen Shiatsu Chicago here in Evanston, Illinois. Um, but I think you can, if you have questions about that, if anybody who's listening has questions about that and want to ask me more, you can certainly contact me through my website or my email, or you can text me. And Gloria is going to put up that information for anybody who wants it. So, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Gloria. Appreciate your.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing. I love hearing how this works in people. It's very gratifying for me, so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do you have any questions, Sarah?
Um, am I unmuted? I don't even know.
You
You are
are. Yes, you
unmuted. We can hear you.
Um, no, I had actually I saw your email today and I went on the Zen Shiatsu website, the what your offerings were. So I did see the lineup, which I think is looks really cool. And I just have to look through dates and see which ones I'll be able to make. But I would like to start down this path. It'll probably take me a lot of time, but that's okay.
Yeah. I think it actually will take you less time than it will take me because time seems to go faster. And
Yeah.
whatever is happening in the ethers seems to be supporting this. We all are
Oh,
looking for this work. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
yeah. But it is a concerted effort. A daily practice
Oh,
is really
yeah,
helpful.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And I love the meditation we just did. So I feel like that's something I can already start doing.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So thank you for doing this tonight. It was a nice little
Absolutely.
surprise in my mailbox this morning.
And also, Gloria, I want to ask you because this series is the invitation does go to people who aren't practitioners. Do you have any questions? Do you know what these things are, like chakra empowerment and DNA activation and stuff like that? Does it even make an impression? Is it so far out of field that you can't even imagine it, or what?
No, I grew up in a family, an extended family that sees more of a mind body connection to so much of our livelihood. My dad has had cancer for almost 13 years, and while traditional medicine, of course, is the path that my parents have taken, oftentimes the things that they supplement, of course, the very harsh treatments that he undergoes, um, are rooted in things like laying on the floor and contemplating his existence. And so his degree is in philosophy, and he spends a lot of time contemplating the world as well as ways in which his positivity can make an impact on his illness. So,
Uh,
Hmm.
very welcome words.
Great. Okay, thanks.
I
Yeah,
do have questions, actually.
okay.
I'd like to know more about what you mean by DNA activation. That sounds pretty fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's extremely esoteric, of course, because the concept behind it is that this double helix thing is multiplied so that you have not only the two strands, but you add strands to this double helix, right? And and so you have strands that you activate for healing. You have strands that you activate for,
Mhm.
well, for various things, for integration and for building up. Again, it would be for building up your, I'm going to say psychic strength, but I don't mean it in that like psychic way. I just mean um, building up your inner reserves, let's say it that way, for your physical health, yes, but also for your stamina, your emotional health, your emotional stamina, your emotional strength and power, right? The same with your mental capacities, and to really sort of um, but I have to say, with the DNA activation, it is the most intense of these trainings because it requires that I give you a lot of anatomy and physiology too, about the
Mhm.
brain and about the DNA and all that stuff. You need to know what you're doing and, you know, capping the ends and,
Mhm.
finding out what the telomeres are and all that kind of stuff, as well as very deep meditation, very involved visualization ongoing. And so you have to be able to stay in a meditative state
Mhm.
for longer amounts of time. So, but it is, I mean, it is kind of extraordinary to when you do it and you feel your DNA. I mean, you know how microscopic it is, right? Like
Mhm.
everybody's DNA, if you were to unravel it, it goes around the earth several times. And it's like in our, it's like in this body, it goes around the earth several
Mhm.
times. Oh my God. So when you actually feel it, getting layers of more capacity, it's quite extraordinary. It's but it's a very involved process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's more advanced work.
Yeah.
I've discovered that staying in meditation is work. At least it is for me. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank
But
you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, okay then. I guess maybe we can. It's only a few minutes early, right? Maybe we should end if there's nothing else. What do you think?
We can.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to know when enough is enough. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, Carnalisa. I love sharing this information. I loved meeting you, Gloria, and meeting you again, Sarah.
Yeah, nice to
It's
see you.
been really, really nice. So yeah,
Thank
I
you for
Thank
think,
the
you.
all
invitation.
right.
Thank you very much.
Hope
Yeah.
to see you in the near future.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, Gloria, did you put up my info?
Yes.
Okay,
I did.
thanks. All right, see ya. Bye.